why did you start in this profession? I don't think, and I remember Kelly, you and I talked about this once before in a podcast. None of us went through college thinking, oh, I want to be a property manager when I grow up, right? All of us have, here. That's right. All of us have kind of backed into this profession for some reason. Why? And like we mentioned earlier, gee, flexible, I can keep my own schedule. Maybe I don't have to be in the office all the time. And those are the things I think we have to remind ourselves, right? Liz, any comments on that?
So, yeah, I mean, when I started in property management, accidentally, of course,
yeah,
I was all in. Every client had my cell phone number. I worked 24/7, nights, weekends, all of it. And fast forward 3 to 5 years, I was so burnt out so quickly that I learned to set some boundaries. So now, luckily, nobody has my cell phone number. We can text through our softwares and things like that, which is super great. And even if I choose to work at night or early in the morning, I don't even send it. I leave it as a draft until business hours. So I'm no longer working nights. I'm no longer working weekends, of course, unless there's the fire department coming to your property that you're dealing with. But I think just experience leads you to setting those boundaries, which helps with the work-life balance for sure.
Yeah, Kelly, how about you? How do you stay present for your family and friends? And that's, I guess, part of the question too.
So again, I think what Liz said and Kathleen affirmed is those boundaries. And I don't look at it as a work-life balance, because it feels like for me personally, it feels like that terminology is you're straddling a fence and neither side wins. And so I look at it, like I said, an integration of how are you going to work? How are you going to have your work integrate into your personal life and vice versa? There's times when you're at work and you need to take a call from your doctor, or your kid school is calling. So it goes both ways in that integration. Just the 48 hours between a Friday and a Monday for me are just, I make the time count. I got a bike for my birthday last year, so I've been out riding my bike whenever I can. Set up a gym in my garage, which is really important to me to have my fitness routine. That was really part of my sanity. And one of the other things too is knowing when to retreat. We are so there for everyone else that if we're not in tune with our level of, like what Liz was describing, our level as we escalate towards burnout, if we don't retreat when we need to, then it's not good for anybody. So for me, my weekends are, sometimes it's a retreat on the couch, binge watching Netflix. And sometimes it's, spending time with my friends or going for a hike or, whatever it is. It's knowing that retreat time or what I need to keep myself balanced. So that, for me, that's what works.
Yeah, that's all great input. Kathleen, any comments on this one?
Yeah, what I would say with that is, people use the term work-life balance. I see it more as like a seesaw. There's seasons in your life where you're really working hard, like Liz said in the beginning, like 24 hours a day, everybody had access to her. And then you wise up and realize this isn't sustainable. And so then you start putting up the guardrails, right? And so a lot of times too, when you're single and you're starting the business or whatever, you're in it 100%. Then you start having kids and so it's like more like a seesaw, kind of, in a way. The one thing that always really helped me is reminding myself of that why. Why did I get into the business? But also kind of looking back. There's a great book I'm going to put out. It sounds horrible, but it's really, really good. 5 Regrets of the Dying. Okay, not to bring anybody down. But this was a hospice nurse in Australia that cared for people. And I read this book and it was amazing because it was all these things that people had a regret on at the end of their life. And now it was too late to go back and do anything about it. And so for me, always, and my husband being a fireman, typically when firemen retire, if they make it past the first 10 years, they tend to live to be really old, but a lot don't. I went to 2 to 3 funerals every single year for the first 6 years. And for me, it was like, oh my God. But it always forced me to come back and say, at the end of the day, what's important? Am I going to say, hey, I wish I installed that water heater at XYZ property? No, it's going to be like Kelly. She made it a priority to stay connected to her friends, right? It's the relationships. I wish I hadn't missed that wedding or the birthday, or I wish I went on that trip of a lifetime or whatever. So that's part of your why. You know, why are you doing this? Not just to get your kids through college or to pay for the house, or, you know, yes, we identify our business makes us feel good and it is a representation of our identity, but we're more than that business, right? We are many things. We're husbands, wives, sisters, parents, whatever, friends. And so that's what I mean by kind of balance, making sure that that wheel kind of stays round. It doesn't go flat because all your time and intention is on what you do for work, and you completely neglect the other aspects of your life that are more important than that, really, you know, when you look at the big scheme. So that's how I always kind of remind myself.